guys, here we are in another episode of the Dan Cave. Welcome back to the Dan Cave. I'm your host, Danny Costa. And today, we're just going to start out with a little janitorial cleanup, some loose ends. We're going to get into some things that we should have covered in the first episode. I just want to make some details clear to the audience that is listening in. Thank you to those who are watching on YouTube. Thank you. If you haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe button, follow, comment, share, like, I don't know. There's so many things now that people have to do. Just do one of them. That's all I ask. So, first things first, I have a new Google form that I have for the audience. This is a segment that I want to start called The Column, and I want to make sure that it's done the right way. So in this Google form, you'll find a form, a media release that you can sign to be able to then go to the next section and fill out a section where you want something that you want advice on. So I don't know if I actually want to call it The Column yet. Maybe call it like Costa's Corner or something. I think that's pretty cool. Maybe we'll go with that. I don't know. But I wanted to start this advice column because I feel like I give pretty solid life advice. I've been told that throughout the years from adults and younger people like that for my age, 29, I have a good all-around idea of living life. And so I feel like I could offer some pretty solid advice to you, whether it's around relationships, family, maybe something that you're going through. Maybe you just need, that extra little push. I would love to help out in any way that I can. And so if you go to this Google form, I'll link it in the description below for those that are watching on YouTube. For those that are on Spotify, or Apple Podcasts too, I think I might be able to link something in the description for the podcast. If not, head over to my YouTube channel, find it in one of the videos in the description. That's the best I got for you for now until I start streamlining this a little bit more. But Costa's Corner, I guess we'll just call it that. That sounds pretty catchy. So, advice column, would love to do it. And moving on to the next thing. So, I don't know, I'm going to look at camera A here. Or camera B, I guess, because I'm always looking at camera. I like camera A as the side angle. Camera B, I've expanded I call this the ADHD wall now. I think before, when I had shown it to you before, I was kind of doing a half-ass representation of my ADHD wall. And for those that are just tuning in for the first time, my ADHD wall is a compilation of just random things that I thrift for in the shop. Anywhere really. It could have the most significant meaning in the world. It could have no significance at all and just serves my imagination just to be there. And so I've added a few things, a few trinkets, but you can actually, I started a series on my TikTok that you can go check it out as well. Just I'm like trying to add something every day, but sometimes I don't want to rely on that because then it just becomes a bit of a burden, I feel like. And so, yeah, so we're working on the ADHD wall, and it feels really good. Here's the other thing, I don't know if you noticed, we got music. I'm working on an intro and outro. Hey, we're getting real detailed with this, okay? And it's only episode 2. I want to show you guys that I'm committed to this, and it's exciting, it's fun, it's my favorite part of the day to be able to sit down and record this and talk to everybody and just kind of get to know you more. And talk about the week, talk about what's going on in the world, talk about everything, maybe talk about nothing at all. And so we got that in the works, and then we're introducing our first official segment. Now, I don't know if this is going to be something that I'm going to keep in the podcast here, or if it's going to be something I'm going to surround a whole new YouTube channel around, because I feel like I could do that as well, because I am working on another channel for myself, just in my media sphere, if you will. But it's called the Reddit section. Now, I did this because my husband, for those of you that don't know, I've been married for a few months now. My husband and I have been together for almost going on 3.5-ish years. And we got married at White Sands National Park. His name is John. He's extremely intelligent. He's an aerospace and aviation psychologist. He's in the military. Just got promoted to major, so leave a comment below and congratulate him because I know he would appreciate it. But he is not on social media at all. And I I talk about him very little on this podcast, and just in a professional sense, we keep our lives separate in that way, but I will always talk about him endlessly because he's my husband. And I actually hope to kind of have him on the podcast one day when it's more established. I feel like an audience would get a kick out of him. He's so witty, and he's like the funniest person ever. He just takes life in such a he teaches me not to be so anxious all the time, and he just really lives life in a very wholesome way. And so I would love to bring him on someday, but not today. So the Reddit section. So I wanted to make this as an ode to John, because John is the love of my life. He is somebody that's not on social media, but the one thing that he does go on all the time, where he gets all of his information, where he gets, not all of his information, but, where he finds all of his memes and stuff, it's Reddit. And I'm on every other platform other than Reddit. And so I wanted to use this as a way to kind of connect with him more, but then also just kind of, Reddit's fun. I did a deep dive a couple weeks before starting this podcast, and you can find some really weird shit in Reddit and some really fun threads. And so we're going to dive into those starting today, which I'm really excited about. And also, just as a reminder, hey, look, Father's Day is coming up. I don't have any sponsors for this podcast. Obviously, I'm trying to get Celsius on board. It's only episode 2, but taking a quick drink pause there. But I would love to get future sponsors, but for now, it's Father's Day. Get him a gift. Tell him how much you love him. Tell him how much you appreciate them. Dad, I love you if you're watching this, if you're listening. My dad has provided everything in the world for my brother and I couldn't be more thankful to have somebody like that in my life, who's so supportive, so loving, so caring. And I don't think dads get thanked enough. And so I want to say thank you again. I love you. I'm so proud of you for everything that you've done for yourself and that you've done for your family, for us, for me. It just, I can't express that enough. So, Dad, love you. I know it sounds corny, but had to say it. So here's the other thing. I completely forgot. We're going to do, so I don't know if, for those who are watching, and I'm going to explain this as best as I can for those who are listening, I'm holding in my hand right now a little knife, and what it is I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. So is my husband, and this is actually a little replica of Sting. And the reason I have this is because it's actually a letter opener. It's a play on the movie, and so what we're going to be doing with this is we're going to have sort of like a mail time segment. I'm going to try to start it next week. But I'm going to go through and kind of, go through user submissions and really just do it that way. I think it'd be fun. Like, we just got a letter, Blue's Clues style. So there's that. I don't know what to name the little letter opener yet. But yeah, that's basically it. Let's hop into it today. Hey, how's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Are we feeling good today? What's going on? How's work? How's the family life? How are we feeling? I'll tell you this. Last week, we were in New York. So a little last week recap. We were in New York. John started Cornell. Him and his older brother, they're starting their master's in health administration. I'm super proud of them. And the Cornell, a beautiful campus, by the way, for any Cornell grads or students that happen to listen or watch. You're awesome. I am thoroughly astounded by how beautiful the college is. It is amazing to walk around in such a prestigious atmosphere, surrounded by so much competition and intelligent people. I was never the best in high school, and I never dreamed of stepping on a Ivy League campus. I don't attend it myself, but it was just really cool to be surrounded by that atmosphere. You feel different, you feel invigorated, and you feel encouraged to your drive. Like, I had a kind of this feeling of, it was really nice being surrounded by all these tenacious individuals again. And it really just kind of is amazing to think about. You really are impacted very heavily by the people you surround yourself with and your atmosphere. And so, me a little bit more. I love I like working in different environments. After this, I go to a coffee shop to do all the admin boring stuff. But here is like, I try to develop this studio into my sanctuary where it's a little chaotic. It makes sense. It's fun. It's going to be growing. It's going to be getting a little bit more intense as we go. But it was just really nice being in that environment again, surrounded by all those people that just want to really make the most out of their lives. And, it reminds me that, I want the same for myself. And I haven't really been in a place like that in a while, until recently, and it was so nice to get that boost, of almost like adrenaline again. So, and it's really nice to have that, but then also visiting Ithaca. Ithaca is a beautiful part of New York. I know a lot of people think about Ithaca as, or I'm sorry, I know a lot of people think about New York as, it's the city. You go to the city, but go out to the countryside. Go to Ithaca. Go to, I know Syracuse isn't really countryside, but go visit Syracuse. Go out into those places. Go to wine country. It's beautiful. It's so lush. It's so green. And as a landscape and kind of wildlife photographer for fun, the beauty there is unreal. I mean, waterfalls for days. The tallest waterfall, actually, fun fact, the tallest waterfall, Taganic Falls, which I visited three times, while I was there, gorgeous waterfall, 215 feet, is the tallest waterfall east of the Rockies. It's taller than Niagara Falls, and it is amazing. You can go to the viewpoint, drive, you can just park your car, walk 10 feet and see it, or you can walk a little mile trail down below and get right up to it and get pictures. For those who are watching, here's some pictures above. Yeah, it's just a beautiful part of the country, and a lot of people don't really think about that part of New York. And it was just really nice being back on the East Coast again. Being out here in New Mexico, it's a lot of gray. It's tanned. It's got its own beauty. I love New Mexico. It is a gorgeous state through and through. I've been to so many places all over the state, north, south, east, and west. And I can tell you that the diversity in landscape here is unmatched in anywhere else in the world. I love it. And going back to the East Coast, it was just really nice to be, a lot of people ask me, well, what do you miss on the East Coast? And I say this all the time. It's the green. I love the green. There's something about being surrounded by, and just grass, like being in that environment again, it's just so nice. Now, do I miss the humidity as much? No, fuck humidity. But I really enjoy being in that space again because it's just so vibrant and it's so filled, it's filled with so much life. And you're always just near people, I think, a lot more. It's a lot of people say, well, the East Coast, it just feels crowded, Philly, New York, Jersey, all these, DC, all these different places. Yeah, but you don't realize how much you actually appreciate that until you move to a state where it's pretty barren, especially where we're at. We're in southern New Mexico, and it's pretty barren here, but still gorgeous nonetheless. And I just kind of want to talk about this real quick, too. So, the Airbnb that we stayed in when we were out there, it was, okay, I gotta say this. I got beef with Airbnb. I got beef with you because we need to talk about this. I'm starting to consider staying in hotels again, and the reason for this is because every time I have stayed in an Airbnb the last 3 times, there have been a compilation of issues from neighbors being so pissed for no reason whatsoever. And the owners of that place, they were cool. Like, they gave us a little refund, but it should have never happened in the first place. This place that we were in, I just want to say this. They said they had AC. They didn't. We paid $2,000 for this place for a week. There was hotels that were half the price in master suites with all the stuff that you could imagine. Okay? The only thing that you're paying for, now granted, I understand this. The only thing that you're paying for is location, okay? And I want people to understand this. When you pay for any place, no matter if you're renting or whatever, you're paying for location, okay? So if you're wondering, well, why is this so expensive? It's because it's within walking distance of everything. And we realized that. We were excited to stay there. The price wasn't the issue. What the issue was the Airbnb saying that they had things and they didn't. Because the dishwasher didn't work, and so when the guys came over, the workers, by the way, very nice. I'll always be respectful and kind to servers, workers, all, blue collar workers, all that shit. I've worked blue collar jobs for a long, long time. you know? And other than that, um, they brought in the wrong parts, okay? Now, not their fault, because I'm sure the owner puts in for the parts, right? They were super nice about it. They were super chill. We didn't even care about the dishwasher to begin with. But like, if you need it, you're not able to use it, okay? And so the next thing was the amount of no trash bags, right? We had to like buy some of the stuff ourselves for a week, which a lot of times that stuff just goes to waste, unless somebody takes it home, which in this case, thank God, somebody did. But the third thing, which kind of tipped me off the edge, okay, we're in New York in the summer. It's humid on the East Coast. It was pushing 90. We're in the top floor of, and I want everybody to understand, Ithaca is one of those places, the town of where Cornell is, a lot of old homes, a lot of old, very gorgeous, old Victorian style homes. These homes that you would see in horror films, and they're just gorgeous. 3 floors, wide decks, greens, purples, pinks, yellows, oranges, all these different vibrant colors. It's a gorgeous town. And we stayed in the top floor of this place, and there was no AC. And so that's when you're paying that much money and the place says that there's AC, there's an issue. Beyond that, the workers came over with no notification. I guess they tried to get into the apartment. I don't know why they don't have keys or why this couldn't be communicated to the primary responder on the app, which was my husband's older brother. The owner didn't communicate with him at all. They left the AC unit, which is like just one of those window AC units, on the steps. They didn't even leave it at the top of the steps. They left it at the bottom of the steps. They could have left it at the top. There was a lot of room, right? It wouldn't have gone anywhere. Left it on the bottom of the steps. I carried it up myself and installed it myself. Didn't hear anything from the owner or anything from the workers. Why are we paying all this money? Why are we saying we have AC when we don't? It was really frustrating, and I feel like a lot of Airbnbs now are doing what renters are doing, which is not giving a shit and just pricing out the ass and expecting people to pay. And I feel like that needs to change, because we're not staying in Airbnbs anymore. We're staying in hotels, because hotels are guaranteed for the most part, right? You know what you're getting, and if something goes wrong, right? Hotels have the experience and the staff and the willingness to accommodate as best as they can, right? Owners of Airbnbs, I've learned, are just going to sit there and basically say, fuck you. So we're kind of done with Airbnbs. We're not doing that anymore. Let me know in the comments if you've had an Airbnb experience, a bad experience, for those that are watching. Let me know if you've ever had a bad Airbnb experience. I would love to carry this further into maybe another segment or something. I feel like that would be pretty fun. But other than that, that's kind of like the Ithaca recap. Again, it was a gorgeous part of New York. I almost forgot. So I want my audience to know as well, I love side quests in life. Especially being out west, when you go hiking a lot, some people, I've driven people down from mountains, I've gone hiking with people, just, hey, you seem pretty cool, let's spend the day together, right? It's so much fun, and I've met so many great people all around the world by doing that. Another instance happened when I was hiking. It's called Buttermilk Falls. I was hiking Lucifer Falls, which is an amazing, amazing area. A lot of cascading falls, and you're just walking along the river the entire time, and you're surrounded by all this, you feel like you're in like a prehistoric era. It's like, it's so green, it blows your mind, and there's like all these ferns and everything growing everywhere. Amazing. And so I passed this family as I'm hiking this trail on the way up. And as I'm hiking, I kind of spoke with them. I was like, well, which way should I turn? Because at the point that I met them, there was a break. You could either go across the bridge, and you could go what is called the red pine trail, or I could continue on the same path that I'm going and keep continuing right next to the water in the falls. Either path is very gorgeous. I ended up doing both. And so I'm talking, it's this older woman and her daughter and an older gentleman. And the older gentleman's name was David. And I could quickly tell because for those of you, I haven't mentioned this before, but my mom's dad, my grandfather, God bless him, God rest his soul, had Alzheimer's. And I was just old enough at the time to understand what that really does. And I am a huge, I try to advocate for it sometimes on my platforms. I want to do it more on here. I would love to get involved in like a campaign or a charity down the line when, it feels right to just really, really go all in and help support finding a cure for Alzheimer's, because it's a crazy, crazy cognitive degenerative disease. I mean, you're talking about not only forgetting, you're talking about losing motor function, because all of your connections and everything are just your brain is basically disintegrating, and it sounds bad, and it looks even worse. And you know, I remember seeing my grandfather when he was in that state, and it's not fun. It's not fun at all. And so anyway, not to get sad on you, I met this guy, David, and I could quickly tell that I didn't know if he had Alzheimer's or dementia. But I knew as soon as I looked at him, because people who have dementia or Alzheimer's, it either goes one of two ways. They either look very worried about where they're at least in my experience. They either look very worried about where they're at, or they're just the happiest person. They're just happy to be there because they're in such a blissful, like, forgetful state, and it sounds so weird to say, but it's true. And so as I met these individuals, I passed them once, and as I continued up the trail, I actually went back the same way that I came, because I had to walk back to my car, because this wasn't a loop trail. It was a through trail, or a in and out, I guess you could say. So I end up meeting them right as we come to the exit from where the start from where we both started. Well, I thought that's where we both started. They actually started at the top of the trail, and David and his wife and the daughter is young. She could have done it easily. The two older individuals, they could not have gone back up this trail. And so I'm talking to them, I'm getting to know them. The daughter just got married in Hawaii. The wife is telling me all about, or her mom is telling me all about her adventures and going all over the world. And David, I'm hearing, is constantly asking the daughter, "Who is this? Where are we going? What are we doing?" And they asked me for a ride back to their car. And I was like, absolutely. It was only 3 miles up the street. So they hop in the car, and we're just chatting about life and all these different things. And I'm hearing David in the back of the car just continuing to ask, "Where are we? What are we doing? Where are we at? Why are we here?" And the daughter is explaining. She probably explained maybe 10 times in a 7-minute ride, 8-minute ride, that hey, this is Dan, he's really nice, he's driving us to his car, we met him on the trail, and so she was just kind of giving him the go around. And even when I dropped him off, it was one of the, like, he was still asking who I was. And I'm getting choked up here, because it reminded me of my grandpa. And I just want people to understand that it's a very, very serious mental disease. And it was just I could see a lot of my grandfather in David. And it was just one of those, you never know who you're going to run into. You never know who you're going to find in your life, and remind you of the joy that some people brought into your life, and all these different things. I mean, there was just so many things running through my head, but I just felt like I should share that, because family and friends are huge to me. I'll talk about them all the time on this podcast, and it's just one of those things that I took away from the trip as a really incredible experience, you know, and again, meeting new people, you can't put a price on that. So that's basically Ithaca, New York in a nutshell. It was pretty cool. So the next thing I kind of want to talk about, for those of you, I haven't mentioned this yet, but I have an older brother. He's 16 months older than me. His name's Mike. He currently lives in Pittsburgh. He just got back off honeymoon with his wife, Diana. Super awesome person. I love her. I love her family. Mia, Shannon, Mario, Patty, Di, shout out to you. Love you. Their wedding was amazing. Okay, I'm just gonna start from the get. It was in Shenandoah. It was a few weeks ago. It was in Shenandoah. I was the best Dan, right? I even got the title. That's how I was introduced. I thought it was so cool. I gave an incredible speech that I was so happy about. I was so nervous about. I hate public speaking, but I love it at the same time. The sisters, my sisters, me and Shannon, they did an amazing job as well. We crushed it. We were like the terrific trio. I don't know what you want to call it. We had so much fun, and everything was just so intricate. They planned, and when I say we're so blessed to be surrounded by amazing family and friends, it's exactly what this was. It was just such an incredible celebration, and they thought of everything down to the minute details. Like even like the stirs had pictures of my brother and Diana when they were little on them, right? Like in the girls in the girls in the guys' bathroom was stocked with like little inside joke things. Like the guys' bathroom had Tech Deck's bourbon cologne and Mentos. You know what I mean? Like we had the venue booked from I think Thursday or Friday to Sunday. Even the day after the wedding, we had a friend set up a massive karaoke night, and the weather was beautiful all throughout. And it was just so great to have that. They are the couple that deserves a day like that. You know, other than my husband and I, right? But their day was amazing. And even after, so in the morning after the wedding, we also went on a float down the Shenandoah River. Gorgeous. It was like, it was not too cold. It was one of those things where like the water wasn't too cold, and then the weather was perfect above. Like it was nice and hot out, like, but not like so humid, not so hot that it was unbearable. And it just, we were, you know, drinking. We had an amazing time. And then later that night we did the karaoke night, and everybody was able to bring their kids. I was able to see all my cousins' kids, and, you know, because they're like all having babies now, and it's amazing. And they're all, you know, some of them are growing up so fast. I don't get to see them nearly as much anymore because my husband and I are, again, you know, halfway across the country. And it was just so fun being around them again, playing with them, singing to them. That's the first time they heard me sing. And yeah, and it was just really cool. It was just really cool. So I just can't imagine, again, a couple having a better experience. You know, it was just everything was just amazing and planned to perfection. And I wish them nothing but happiness. Mike and Di, I love you guys. All right, so I wanna start this off. So we're gonna hold on. I wanna do a pause for dramatic effect. Welcome everybody to the Reddit section. So in this Reddit section, I want to do this every week. Again, this is an ode to my husband John. We're gonna be sifting through different Reddit threads, and a lot of it being pop culture, relationship stuff, weird, like just weird stories. And so let's just dive into it. Yeah, I have one. So here, I just got to click this link right here. All right, so let's just start. This was posted 7 days ago. My 23 female partner, 24 male, used my 23 F female partner, 24 male, used our trip fund. I'm incredibly pissed, holding myself back from saying a lot of nasty things. I'm considering breaking up. How do you communicate about something like this? So that's the title. We had been doing deliveries together day and night for this money. It's bad enough I had to hassle and fight for this date to happen. He complained about no time and there's no money. So I help get it. dusk till dawn so that we can do this. We pick a day together. We make the most of our goal for the trip. I borrowed a few dollars to get items for the trip. I did put the money back in the next day. I calculate our expected expenses just to make sure our goal is enough. I ask what we have from deliveries in total. This idiot spent it. All period of period it. Period. I, of course, asked him what happened. He said some expenses came up that he had to eat and live as well. We'll make the money back. On top of it, if I expect him to feel bad about it. Do I expect you to feel bad about spending our trip fund that I worked so hard on earning? I told him he should have starved before... I told him he should have starved before touching that bread, butter, and sugar before a finger touched that money. I'm considering ditching him. Ghost. I was looking forward to that trip. I've been working hard back to back for so long. I was ready for some peace and solitude at the beach. I needed it bad. And the money was there for it. It was gone in a day. I can feel myself breaking down a bit. I really don't want to be a vile person to him. Is this something that I should even try to move forward from? It's hard for me to honestly look at him right now. I'm tired of things being stripped from me my whole life. He was the last person that I needed doing that right now. Communication and setting boundaries doesn't feel like it'll fix this. Here's the thing. Okay. I agree. Sometimes communication and boundaries doesn't feel like it'll fix this. That's absolutely true. There are some times when you just need to cut people off. And I'll tell you why you should cut people off from this. My husband and I are very transparent about finances. And any couple should be transparent about finances no matter the stage that you are in your relationship. And it all depends on the comfortability that you are at in that relationship. Now, it sounds like these people are pretty comfortable and they understand that they need to work. This is the dollar. They're being realistic. This is the dollar amount we need to do. We're putting in the hours. We're putting in the work. And the fact that this individual came in and took the money and said nothing and just spent it like there was no other goal in sight, right? Like that's what kills me the most. Here's the other thing too. I had some expenses came up that he needed to eat and live as well. We'll make the money back. When? And when you do, are you going to do the same thing again? That's the thing. You already did it once, and it's not your money to begin with. I mean, let's be real. Like, yes, when you're in a partnership, your assets, your money, when you're married, everything is combined. But it doesn't sound like these people were. It doesn't sound like they're married, at least. If you're in a relationship, if you're separate, you're separate. If you feel comfortable putting your money together when you are separate, that's on you. But for the person that this happened to, you also bear that responsibility. And I hate to say it, sucks that this is a hard lesson learned. But also to the other individual, I'm still for her because the other individual should not have done that. He should have communicated it way beforehand, and saying, hey, or at least be vulnerable and talk to your partner. Hey, look, I'm struggling. Can we push the date back for this trip? Can we talk about this? Like, I'm struggling right now. I need your support. I don't know if I can do this, right? No matter the timeline, and that partner should be able to understand or at least be reciprocative towards having that conversation. I understand that they need time off, but sometimes, life doesn't work out the way that you want it to, and I know that sounds harsh. There have been trips that I've planned to a T, and I haven't been able to go on, and the reality is, some things do actually come up, but it doesn't sound like that in this case. It sounds like the person just willy-nilly spent the money, and it's just making, expenses came up. Okay, well, we need to break that down. We need to talk about this, and we need to talk about what you're doing with your money to begin with, because this should never have happened. We talked about this. Right? We talked about this. This was the plan. We were doing well. Now all of a sudden, it just comes up. But that to me sounds like impulse buying. I know because I do it a lot. I can't. I think I'm with her. I would say, fuck yeah, ghost him. Maybe not ghost him. Be honest with him. Be brutally honest with him. Be brutally honest with him and say, hey, look, this is the deal. You broke, and because it's a huge break of trust too. I don't know if any boundary could fix that because you're already starting off on such a horrible foot. I mean, I'm all for putting in work for relationships, but if this is what you're starting off as, you're blatantly spending somebody else's money without any regard for how they're going to feel or what, their goals, their actions, their plans, their future intent. I don't see why you can't just tell them how it is and tell them to fuck off, right? I mean, being totally honest with you, I cannot see them recovering from this. I feel like this is a big thing. If it was something like, if it was anything else like, he loaned some money and didn't pay me back, that's a different story. But you're talking about somebody dipping into somebody else's funds without telling them and spending it on stuff that they're just labeling as a vague excuse to, like I needed to eat and live as well. Okay, what does that mean? Because everybody's interpretation of that is different. I needed to eat and live as well. Now, I will say this: eat bread, butter, and sugar before a finger touched that money. Talk about it. Okay, I know, that sounds pretty harsh right there. And I laughed at that a little bit because, you don't want your partner to starve, right? You don't want, in the name, I get you need a vacation, but you need to live, right? But again, there's some details missing. That's why it's hard to judge this. But I feel like for the most part, I'm on the female side. My 23 female partner, 24. I think it's the female who took the money. Whoever, I'm confused by how it's introduced. Whoever took the money, fuck you. Whoever is working hard for it, great for you. I'm on whoever side didn't take the money. But the person that didn't take the money, you also need to understand that this situation is, I'm not going to say it's normal, but there are situations where partners will take money and they won't say anything, and it's a trust thing. So that trust has been broken. So I would say be wary, be careful, have that conversation, be brutally honest. But hey, that's your hard-earned money. You even said it yourself, your hard-earned money. You worked when you didn't have to, right? You were working balls to the walls, sweat, blood, all the tears, all that shit. You were looking forward to something, and somebody else ripped that away from you and didn't even have the balls to tell you that they did it. I feel like I need to dive into these a little bit more before I actually get into them, but you kind of get the gist of how it goes. I kind of like it. Maybe I can make it into a whole nother thing. I kind of want to touch on one more thing while we're here. For those of you that, I mentioned ADHD a little bit. My husband and I both have brutal ADHD. For those of you that don't believe ADHD is a thing, okay, we're not having that conversation. My husband's a psychologist, right? We read studies and we read about the brain a lot. And it's something that I'll talk about quite a bit on this podcast. But ADHD is absolutely a thing. There are an amazing amount of studies that you can go look and see for yourself that it sucks. It sucks to have. And so I want to talk about this a little bit more because there's three types of people, right? There's people that do not, I would say if you have it, right, you don't like having it. Then there's people that, say that they have it and they're so excited to find out when they get their diagnosis, they feel a relief, right? And then there's people that are just so unbothered by having it, like it's nothing. And that's where I get a little off, because it's not fun to have. It's really not. I understand life is what you make it, but it's not one of those things to, I'm not going to say prance around and flaunt. It sucks. It's an executive dysfunction, and somewhere along the way, you lose relationships, you lose a little bit of sanity because you're just so all over the place all the time, and you're always trying to find life hacks on how to manage stress, anxiety, and just decision making and actually getting them done. And it took me so long to find a natural way to do that. But it sucks. It really does, because I really wish I was taking some sort of medication growing up to help me better in my academics, because I love to learn. I just didn't have, I wasn't able to sit there and just do the work. And I know for some people, they hear that and they're like, well, you're just lazy. It's not being lazy. it was so difficult for me to sit there and actually just be still and not only in body but in mind and focus. And it's almost like the best way I can describe it is like you're always dealing with like this fog. It really is like a brain fog. And it's like when I was taking medication at the time, and I don't like taking medication for the fact of, number one, I don't like relying on things that, make me feel normal. But I also don't, I just didn't like how it made me feel. It took away my creativity. It made me so stale. I feel like I'm ranting at this point. The whole reason I'm talking about ADHD is because I started using Notion, and I was using Notion for the longest time. Notion is the worst enemy of ADHD. Let me just put that out there. It is great if you are using it for very subtle purposes, but the more that you get into this, you get the most insane planning paralysis I think I have ever heard of. So I started writing again. And let me tell you, I feel like if you are watching this and you take away one piece of information, writing will cure everything that has to do with what's up here. What's going on in your brain. We are so consumed by getting everything now, typing fast, being efficient, and how do you be efficient when in reality for some of us, just sitting there and writing and taking the cognitive time to write things out, and it creates so much clarity. I have gotten so much done by getting rid of my digital calendar and going back to a written planner. I write down all of my podcast episodes. I'm looking at it right now. I write down all of my podcast episodes, all my ideas over the week on a notepad, and then I transfer them to my computer. I started writing sticky notes, reminders. I have a calendar on the fridge that I put other events on for both my husband and I, right? Like you start to create this written system and it works so much better. I would say to anybody, if you are struggling so hard with ADHD, you can't afford medicine, or you just don't like taking it for the sake of being true to you, which is totally valid, by the way, then start writing again. Start writing and give it time. Take the time, take 3 weeks, take upwards of a month, and just start slowly taking everything, if you're working in an office or whatever, just start writing. It is such a shift in how you talk and how you think and how you learn and how you react and how you decision make and so many other things. And honestly, the reason why I started writing again is because I started learning Italian. I'm just about a month in. I'm a week shy. I'm like 3 weeks in. And I'm doing super well, but one of the reasons why I feel like I started on this writing path again is because I've written about 600 flashcards for words, and it was what I've realized when I'm in that process of writing those cards, I'm so focused and there's nothing else to distract me. You have one task. You're not distracted by notifications. You're not distracted by all these different lights and things. And I know when people hear that, they say, well, maybe you're just distracted by your phone. No, because even when the phone is away, my mind still drifts so hard, even on these note cards, but it's still that much easier to the point that I can get it done. There's that. And then also I would encourage people to get headphones. When you shut out noise and you are just playing music or some sort of binaural sounds or something like that, that also really helps me as well. So maybe look into that as well. But that's just my little ADHD rant. That's all. I feel like we covered a lot today, a lot of different topics. I feel like it was a little bit more streamlined than it was last week, and we're getting there. It's only episode 2, right? But if you feel like you like what you heard, let me know. You know what I mean? But honestly, I'm gonna kind of cut it right there. I don't know. I have a lot to talk about next week, and I'm trying to make these episodes like an hour. I feel like that's a good place. Like I said, I want the Dan Cave to be a place where people can like listen to this on the road. They can kind of just chill, relax, and maybe learn something new. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe you're just looking to hear somebody rant. Like I said, I talk to a brick wall all the time. I have no problem with it. But look, that's all I got for you today. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe if you feel like it. You can find us right here on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. I'm making a TikTok as well. I'm going to be posting some shorts there. I also have an Instagram just for the handle. I don't know if I'm going to use the Instagram. I might just maybe for new announcements or something, or just sharing everyday podcast life stuff. But you can find the podcast, the full versions on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, going to @TheDanCavePodcast. Yes, you can. You can also find Everyday Socials on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram @DK Costa. That's spelled DKCOSTAA. Somebody else, whoever has the DK Costa with one A, I would love to talk to you. I would love that handle. And you know what? I just be having fun over there and shit. You know what I mean? Like, I just do random stuff, random bits. I'm ranting. I'm like, this is where you'll see a lot of me that's off camera. I also include some of my husband as well. And then, as always, if you like what you heard, leave a comment below. I'm always checking the comments, or click the link below to find out our form, the Google form, like I mentioned in the beginning, where you can fill out a media release that then brings you to a section where you can fill out anything that you want advice on, and maybe I'll mention it in the podcast. As I'm sure as the podcast grows, that's a lot of more submissions are going to be in my inbox. So for now, it's like whoever submits, I should be able to include it on the advice column in the Costa's Corner. I feel like that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, you can click the link to the form below and share your story if you want advice. Maybe. I don't know. Hey, look, as always, I want to thank you guys for listening, for watching. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. This new journey that I'm on in my creative journey, it feels right. For the first time in my life, it feels like, with all the content creation that I've done, when I sit down at this desk and start speaking to the camera and start, speaking to an audience in this way, it feels right. It just feels like this is going to be something great, and I'm glad that whoever's listening now is here from the beginning. And I can't wait to see what we all accomplish together as this podcast, as the show continues on. I can't wait to see where we're at by the end of the year. I'll see you guys there. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And we'll catch you up next Thursday, every Thursday, right here at 6 a.m. MST. I will catch you guys next week. Toodles.